Rebels in eastern Congo entered the region's second-largest city of Bukavu on Friday, local and civil society leaders said, the latest ground gained since a major escalation of their years-long fighting with government forces. The M23 rebels entered the city's Kazingu and Bajira zone and were advancing towards the center of the city of about 1.3 million people, according to Jean Samy, vice president of the civil society in South Kivu. He reported gunfire in parts of the city. Videos posted online appeared to show rebels marching toward the Bajira area. In one of the videos, a voice in the background shouted, "They are there! There are many of them." Hours earlier, the rebels had claimed to have seized a second airport in the region, in the town of Kavumu, following a days-long advance. While the UN warned that the recent escalation of fighting with government forces has left 350,000 internally displaced people without shelter. The M23 took control of eastern Congo's biggest city, Goma, in late January. The rebels are the most prominent of more than 100 armed groups vying for control of Congo's mineral-rich east. The DRC government has repeatedly accused Rwanda of supporting the M23 rebel group, a claim that Rwanda denies. Kigali, in turn, alleges that Kinshasa collaborates with the Democratic Forces for the Liberation of Rwanda, FDLR, a Hutu armed group with ties to the perpetrators of the 1994 Rwandan genocide, an allegation the DRC rejects. The rebellion has killed at least 2,000 people in and around Goma and left hundreds of thousands of displaced people stranded, the UN and DR Congo authorities have said. The Associated Press could not immediately confirm who was in control of the Kavumu National Airport, which is located about 30 kilometers from Bukavu, which is the capital of South Kivu province. Government officials and civil society leaders did not immediately comment. Kavumu Airport became a target after the M23 rebels seized Goma and its international airport. Goma is a critical trade and humanitarian hub that hosted many of the close to 6.5 million people displaced in the conflict, the world's largest humanitarian crisis. M23 spokesperson Lawrence Kanyuka said on X that the rebels took over Kavumu Airport and its surroundings to eliminate the threat at the source. The airport posed a danger to the civilian population, he said. DR Congo's communication ministry issued a statement criticizing the rebels for violating a ceasefire that regional leaders have called for. The rebels were imposing an urban war by attacking the positions of the FARDC, DR Congolese military, who are keen to avoid bloodshed in Bukavu, the ministry said. A local civil society leader in Kavumu reported seeing soldiers abandon their positions and head towards Bukavu. This caused fear within the community, and I took the necessary measures to bring my family to safety, the leader said, speaking on the condition of anonymity for fear of reprisals. DR Congo President Felix Tshisekedi criticized what he described as the failure of the international community to stop the aggression from the rebels and troops from Rwanda. This raises the question of the United Nations, which for me has become a two-tier organization depending on whether you are among the powerful or privileged countries, or whether you are among the weak and disadvantaged, said Tshisekedi, who was attending the Munich Security Conference in Germany. Chaos and panic among residents. The rebels' latest advance caused chaos and panic among residents in different parts of South Kivu. Some were fleeing from Kavumu into the provincial capital of Bukavu, while others were emptying from Bukavu into neighboring towns. Some were also stocking up on household supplies as economic activities appeared to be collapsing. I noticed that the soldiers were dropping out and fleeing, so I told myself that I could no longer stay in this place, said Chirimwami Alexis, among residents fleeing from Kavumu. The fear we have is people moving without any preparation or food. We are running away just because of this situation, he added. The rebels last week declared a unilateral ceasefire that the government dismissed as false. They later continued to advance toward Bukavu, seizing several nearby towns, including the town of Katana on Friday. The town is 7 kilometers from Kavumu Airport. African leaders to hold summit. The UN Refugee Agency said Friday that hundreds of thousands of displaced people are now in overcrowded makeshift shelters, churches, schools, and hospitals. Heavy artillery shelling and looting have destroyed 70,000 emergency shelters around Goma and Minova in North and South Kivu provinces, leaving some 350,000 internally displaced people once again without roofs over their heads, the agency said. African leaders will gather in Ethiopia at the weekend for a summit of the African Union, a continent-wide body that has previously been criticized for inaction amid conflicts in different parts of the region. A recent meeting of leaders from Eastern and Southern Africa called for a ceasefire in eastern Congo, but did not urge the M23 rebels to stop their advance.